Part 10, Targeted Individual TI. Per Title 15, not just rules and regulations, but also the law in Los Angeles County jails, you are to be given a shower every other day and means of hygiene, health, and cleanliness. And in that jail, you are not, if you're me. I had to ask, urge, then beg, then demand, then battle for a shower. I was not given a shower for about roughly 2 days in a row. I was not given a shower at all. I was not given literally, they deprived me of not just a shower, but soap. I had nothing in that cell. That cell was filthy. It's all on video. Before they put me in the cell, because it was on video, one of the deputies yelled, "Inmate, come clean this cell." The inmates who are called alleged trustees, they can't be trusted. They're just as screwed up and malevolent as the deputies. They're lazy assholes. They don't clean anything. They might, if they really, really, really have to, take a broom and sweep out the most obvious debris, which would be several sack lunches from maybe 2-3 weeks ago that have been left in there by previous inmates. Use sanitary pads, yes. If there's a puddle of vomit, they'll scoop or remove it. They don't mop the floors, they don't clean the walls. The walls are covered in old food, crusted over, blood, urine, and other human matter. Cell blocks like these where inmates are screened medically are the first cell blocks and cells that inmates come to upon arrest out of either from a city jail or straight to those cells. And these are drug addicts and other very troubled people who come through, who are not given their medications right away, psychotropic medications and or other medications. They are mentally unstable, so they do all of these things. They throw and smear food on the walls, blood, urine. They vomit. They are sick. They have all types of diseases and physical diseases and mind diseases, emotional problems. And although that's not the inmates' fault, the inmates who are assigned as trustees don't clean it up because, like I said, they're lazy fucking assholes. Yes, I'm angry. And if they're going to stick anybody in those cells, it's me. And not give me a shower and not give me so much as a piece of soap. Imagine when you're like me and you're at home. And I would think that a majority of people shower every day and sometimes twice a day. Brush their teeth 3-4 times a day. That's me. Some people brush their teeth twice a day. I brush mine 3-4 times a day. I'm serious about my dental and other physical hygiene. It's not OCD, it's just being clean, right? Because I work out, because I drink and eat. No matter how clean I eat, I like to brush my teeth several times a day and floss and all those other things. But this is not a PSA for hygiene. I'm talking about being a targeted individual and life as such. The only way that I got a shower after about 2 or 3 days, and the only reason I got a shower is because one morning they took me out to court on a surprise call. They didn't let me know before. And I was on the bus, and when they brought me back on the bus, I believe it was in the evening, and they try to get me out of the cage while I was still cuffed and chained after many hours of being cuffed and chained all day. In this jail, they get you up at about 3 or 4 in the morning on a bullhorn. Yeah, they still use bullhorns. And or the speakers in the cells, which they only speak on, but they never answer when you need them. They get you up. "Inmate so-and-so, you have court. Get up." So you're up, right? And with the stress, it's, you know, you get up, you brush your teeth, comb your hair, and you sit there and you wait till they come and get you. Well, I had to finger my hair and rinse and rinse and rinse with water because that's all there was. And at one point, one of the deputies, and I don't just say this only out of anger, I say it realistically, some ugly bitch, and she wasn't just objectively ugly, she would be ugly to anybody. Most of these women are in there, and men, these sheriffs, turned off my water for no reason at all. And I do mean no reason at all. Anyways, so I'd been cuffed and chained since about 3:30 in the morning. They brought me back on the bus to the jail from court by about, I don't remember, I could be wrong, it was maybe 6 or 7 in the evening. And I refused to get off the bus, and it's on video. And I announced on video, for fear of not having a shower because I needed some cleanliness, and to also implicate them on their actions that they were committing against me. And I announced that I have not been given it. I've been deprived of a shower for going on 3 days. I've been locked in a cell with no soap, with nothing, no water. And they kept trying to get me off the bus, and I wouldn't get off the bus. So one of the deputies said, well, I'll give you a shower, just get off the bus, something to that effect. I cooperated. They literally squeezed my arm, and I kept saying, stop squeezing my arm, you're hurting me. They wouldn't stop. They, about 6 or 7 of them took me back to that cell block 1200. I was put in an extremely littered shower, but I took a shower, if you can call it that, in terror, in misery and terror, you know, fear for my life, because I want to live, and I was scared of what they would do to me. After all, they put me in jail for no reason at all. A bail company wanting additional payments from you after they've taken so much money is not a justified reason to put somebody in jail, especially when I had done absolutely nothing wrong. I was convinced that they were going to do something to my life, and I value my life. I took a shower. I rinsed off. They didn't let me take any soap back to the cell. They did not give me any shower sandals, the rubber sandals that you must wear in there. The deputy made me shower without them, or she said, well, or you can use the shoes that the jail shoes you're wearing, which are canvas jail shoes. They throw a pair of canvas jail shoes at you when you first get there. I think the first type of feet coverings they should give you is actually the rubber sandals to everybody. That should be regulation in if it has to be one or the other. They say you could slip in the sandals. I have never known anybody to slip in the sandals, because the same rubber that's on the bottom of the extremely cheap canvas slip-on shoes they give you is the same rubber that's at the bottom of the shower sandals, which, by the way, they don't give in the jail. You have to buy, and if you don't have any money or somebody to put money on your jail account, you're screwed. Inmates are not sharing unless you're part of a gang and you come across each other in that jail, or you have a relative in there who cares enough to share theirs with you. These inmates are just as bad as the sheriff's deputies. So she made me, yes, I refused to stand barefoot on the shower floor, so I had to use the canvas shoes, which then were soaked, and I had to slosh and splash in while walking on gingerly for days. The next morning they took me to the other court, and where they had refiled the case, and the attorney who was assigned to me, because attorney Daryl M. Sherwood refused to show up, was Seymour Amster. And when they had kept me in the lockup, literally locked me down in a cell, and I was chained and cuffed in the basement of the court in the inmate lockup basement prison of the court, which is literally a dungeon. It's and I don't use literally the way other people use it because it's a trendy word. I use literally in the literal sense. It's a dungeon, and the people who work there are people who are best suited to a dungeon. And I'm referring to the deputies, the senior deputies, and the sergeant deputies, watch commanders, whatever they want to call themselves. I was visibly upset because they would not give me any tissue, they would not give me any sanitary pads that I needed, and they put me in a cell without a phone. And they kept me chained and cuffed up. They would not even take off one cuff, as they falsely allege that they do. They kept me like that, and I asked them to at least take off one cuff so I could take care of my personal needs, and they refused. And I was banging and kicking on the door after I was civil, and I had used all of my patience to wait for them for over an hour, and they still were abusing me. Then I was very agitated, I was very upset. So they push you to the point, they poke and prod you, and they say, see, she's a bad person. We have to deal with this bad person. Those are the tricks that they use. That's just part of their huge arsenal of abuse. They would not allow me, and they know me from before. They know that I can be a very calm, collected, and absolutely most cooperative person. Yet they would not escort me out of that cell to go to a confidential cell area, which they have, to speak with the appointed attorney. So the appointed attorney wouldn't help. He was of no help. These types never are. So he came to the slot, and I had to bend down to the slot, and I asked him, sir, Mr. Amster, could you ask these deputies that we go somewhere confidential so I can speak with you? Because even though the cells are like tombs, you can hear everything that anybody else says out of the slot or even through the door. That's just how it is. And he said, no, they don't want to take you out, so you better be nice to them. I said, I have been. You don't understand. I don't want to hear it. That's what he said. So I had to explain to him the bail situation. At first, he kept claiming that, well, if a bail company wants to revoke your bail for any reason, they can. That's actually not true. That's not the law. Unless you've done something wrong to violate the terms of bail, something criminal. A bail company wanting additional payments from you is a civil matter, not a criminal matter. I should not have been in jail. I told him that. He went and did some research. They took me up to court. The deputies, when they took me up to court, they created a very prejudiced situation. The judge was Judge O'Gara, another asshole, in addition to Judge Walgren, who's really victimized me on this case before it was refiled before. Inmates, when you're in custody and they take you to the court, they are supposed to, and regulations are that they are supposed to take you to the defense table where your attorney is, and you are to stand next to your attorney. Well, they wouldn't take me to the defense table. So the attorney was standing at the defense table, the prosecution was at the table, and the deputies, there was a Deputy Chen, there was a senior deputy, I believe his name starts with an S, and it'll come to me later. I'm really stressed out right now. Tall, Caucasian, older guy. And another 4 deputies. They took me to the door of the court and basically had me standing in the doorway to prejudice the court process against me even more, to make me look like a crazy person, to make me look bad. And I don't believe the judge would have required that. The judge would have screwed me anyways. But the attorney was very aggressive, which I need. and I've read about him online too. I don't agree with all of his past actions in other cases, but I did need an aggressive attorney. He stated the situation as it was. He had gone and done some research when he had left the lockup section. He had consulted with someone, and it's all on record, about that particular bail company, how they, in a lot of instances, they have an unstated policy, which is illegal, where they will post your bail, take your money, take the premium, keep it, and then revoke your bail and put you back in custody, have you imprisoned, and never refund your money when you have not done anything wrong, when there is nothing criminal going on except for your case, just to keep your money. And that's what they did to me, and they've gotten more money to reinstate the bail. At any rate, what he said was essentially what it amounted to was, since there were no police involved, it was just people working for the bail company, private citizens, that guy that I named earlier, David Kelly, and some frizzy-haired bitch, private citizens who essentially kidnapped me out of my home at about 10:30 at night on July 31st and had me imprisoned. That's what it was. And another thing, a very, very important thing to note, and it's part of the misconduct, prosecutorial and judicial misconduct in this case, is that when I was out of custody, when they had filed this case, and I posted bail on July 7th, subsequent to that, I went to court for a court appearance, and it was not disclosed to me that the prosecution, there was a temporarily appointed attorney just for that day. He did not disclose to me that the prosecution had problems with witnesses who didn't want to show up. I don't know why. That's what came out this time in court on August 4th, is they were having problems with witnesses, and they had problems. It was not disclosed to me in July when I went to court after July 7th, but still in July, that the prosecution was having problems with witnesses and evidence. So I waived time for a preliminary in July until September 7th, without knowledge that I should have had legally. So I waived my rights under duress, under false circumstances, because they had withheld information from me. At any rate, once you're incarcerated for no fault of your own, you have a right to take back that waiver and demand a preliminary within 10 days. I was incarcerated on or about July 31st. I was processed into the jail and imprisoned in the jail August 1st. So I should have legally had the right to take back my waiver on August 1st and be given a preliminary hearing by August 10th and or thereabouts. And on I believe on August 4th, when I was taken to that court where the case was refiled, the prosecutor, Courtney Armendariz, and I believe another prosecutor, had a tizzy fit, literally a tizzy fit at the table, saying that, no, I don't want her to be able to take back her waiver. I have a problem with my witnesses. Oh, so now it comes out. And the attorney made an excellent case for me actually being allowed to take back my waiver and have the preliminary done within 10 days of August 1st of 2017, and Judge O'Gara denied that. He denied every request and motion of my appointed attorney, Mr. Amster, and left my bail standing at $390,000 when I've always been early to court. I've never had a failure to appear. I've never done anything wrong on bail. And this is what happened. I was arrested on this case October 2015, 1/5. My bail at the time was $50,000. I called a bail bondsman from the Van Nuys City Jail that I had never met before, I didn't know about. He scammed me. I ended up not posting bail with him, and he had caused me a lot of problems. In December, when I went to a routine court case, and at the time my attorney was Arvon Naderi, a very, very disgustingly crooked attorney, and that's common knowledge about him among most of his clients, because he's victimized a lot of clients. Yes, I've been through a few attorneys since the year 2015. At the time, I went to court December 2015 for a routine court case, and I have factual reasons to believe that he was in on this because I had told him what had happened to me with the bail bondsman. At any rate, we went to court. We were before Judge Walgren at the time, and the bondsman who had scammed me and who I ended up not posting bail with, and I posted bail with a corporate bail company, and I did everything right, and I had the paperwork in my car. I was out on bail properly. But the scamming bondsman came to court and told the judge, and it was arranged before without my knowledge, I want her bail revoked. And I heard this from someone behind me, and I turned around, was that bondsman? I said, excuse me, Judge Walgren, I never posted bail with him. I barely know who he is. I posted bail with such and such company. I have the paperwork, the official paperwork and receipts in my car. He wouldn't let me go to my car and get the paperwork. He revoked my bail, set my bail at about $210,000, and had me thrown into the jail, which was the basement, and I had to borrow money then to post that bail. That was December 2015. By on or about August 2016, another judge, the court, offered me a plea deal of 16 months of realignment in the county jail. I took it, and because I have a good record of appearances, a perfect record of appearances, he let me have till August of 2016 to surrender. And when I went to surrender, he wrongfully, and I was already sentenced. He sentenced me in August of 2016. He took back the sentence and set $170,000 bail on me for no fault of my own. And I was in jail for about a month in Century Regional Detention Facility as a K-10 for a month of torture until I could beg and borrow more money for that $170,000 bail. And I came out and I did everything right. I was on an ankle monitor. By June, Daryl Sherwill had been appointed as my attorney, and the case was dismissed by the prosecutor, Courtney Armendariz. And then they refiled in July of 2017, and they set my bail at $390,000. I paid my bail. The bail company wanted more money. They had me thrown in jail for more money. And there I stood, I think on or about August 4th of 2017. My attorney presented this entire timeline to the court. And what did the court do, Judge O'Gara? Disregarded everything, denied everything that my attorney asked, denied my pleas to be released on my own recognizance, stood my bail at $390,000, refused to let me take back my waiver, violated all of my rights. And the deputies dragged me out of there right after that and would not let me speak to my attorney, and the attorney wouldn't really come speak to me. He doesn't accept collect calls from the jail. He doesn't accept any collect calls, just like Attorney Sherwood doesn't accept any collect calls. I was the most miserable person. They took me back to the holding cell in the basement, locked me down, still remaining in cuffs and chains. And I was inconsolable. Not that anybody tried to console me. And to imagine after all of that and not knowing what else they're going to do to you, not knowing what's ahead of you, and then being dragged onto the prison bus, the jail bus, which is another tomb-like structure, and on a cage within the locked bus with chains and cuffs on me, only to be taken back to the jail, not directly back to the jail, to be taken to the men's central jail in downtown LA. And every time the bus drives through the gates of that jail to the prison bus yard, where all of those black buses are, I firmly believe that is hell, because who alive can truly define hell? I believe that I can, because I've seen it and I've been in it. And there are a lot of losers who like being in jail. They're generational jailbirds. I am not one of them, but it's not about that. It's about your state of mind. It's about who you are and what you are. Especially when you know that you didn't do anything wrong. You don't deserve to be there. But every time they take me through those gates and on that bus and in the cage, within chains and cuffs on a metal-like bench in that cage in the bus, they have other deputies prancing up with the video camera. They have it in the system that I'm to be always kept at K10 and on video camera every step. And there are moments when they do physically assault me. They have physically assaulted me and they don't videotape that. They videotape what they want to videotape. So the process is that they unload all of the other inmates first, and I'm always kept for last. They come and take me off of that bus, and the female inmates are kept in a small tiny structure in the men's county jail, where they are held over for another bus to come and load them on that bus to take them back to Century Regional Detention Facility, which is the jail hell for women. But with me, they don't put me in the same holding cells as them. They put me in a toilet. It's literally a toilet holding cell. It's been like this since forever, since the 60s, and they haven't restructured it or even improved it or cleaned it up. There's one isolation cell in that tiny holdover structure for the women where it's a solid door, and I wish I had some means to show it, but I can't. But if you've been there, then you know. It has a solid door and a toilet. That's a cell, and it's concrete. And the toilet, if you must use it and you flush it, it streams water out because it's broken. It's been broken since the 90s, and they still haven't fixed it. They still haven't fixed it. And it's dark. I'm not afraid of dark. I actually have come to I like dark, but that's not it. It's dark where it's not safe, even though it's such a tiny area. It's filthy. It has crusted food, peanut butter, God knows how old it is, and feces, blood, and other things. You can tell, even though it's a dark space, you have ways to tell. The means of smell, all your senses, and your senses really kick in full blown in there. And I have to battle them with my mouth, because I've never done anything physical to these deputies ever. That I refuse to be put in there, but they will put you in there for several hours until another jail/prison bus comes by, which has the list of inmates that it's going to load onto that bus. So they will load me onto that bus on another cage within a cage, and then take me back to that women's jail where all the other inmates again are loaded off first, unloaded, And then I'm last where other deputies, and they love it. They're twisted. And I won't say if I, as far as I can help it, I'll never say that they're sick, because that's to give psychopaths, that's to give malevolence and evil an excuse, and there's never an excuse for malevolence and evil. Okay. I have a mother who's a psychopath. I know what psychopaths are. And they love to prance on the bus with their video camera and video me. I will come to this. Tonight is the eve of, I believe, my last day in trial, and then a verdict will be due, and I'm terrified. It takes courage beyond courage to get through something like this, and I don't know what's ahead of me. But you have to start actively believing. Belief is physical. Belief can put physical power behind anything. Belief. In that jail, in that approximately 3 weeks, I almost came to the point where I had denounced my faith in God. It does that to you. But see, you have to believe. You have to continue to believe, because I can put this eloquently. At this point, I believe that when we ask God for miracles, God, for those who are his children, grants miracles. I believe that God allows suffering. I don't agree with it at all. But I believe that God allows suffering to refine us. And each time, even though at the time we kick and scream, when we come back to our senses, we become closer to God. We become closer to our faith, our higher power. Therefore, we become more and more refined, more and more matured. I want to believe that this exists, and I want to believe that through grace, it's never luck, it's the fortune of grace, that we who are his children will be given God's miracles, will be given God's protection. It's a blind hope. But that's what they mean by things not seen but believed. I hope that I will be here still and they will not take me away upon the conclusion of this trial. But if anybody is watching this and they can help, or they know somebody who can help about these circumstances, please do so. Because I have no physical power over this. I've used my legal knowledge. I've done everything that I could do. And I am at this point right now. Targeted individual. TI. Please research it. Millions of people cannot be crazy. Millions of people cannot be making up stories. Targeted individuals really are being targeted. And I hope that someday I will know exactly why I was one of them. Again, if you can help, or if you know someone who can, please find a way to contact me. If you contact me and I do not respond, the only reason would be is that they took me in again. And still try to contact me. You can look up some instances with Dr. Richard I. Fine, Fine. I don't believe that he was, and he doesn't believe, well, he never mentioned it, that he was a targeted individual, although wrong things were done to him within the court system. At any rate, this is what I have to say, and I hope that I will be physically free to post subsequent vlogs on this. Thank you.